Hi guys, in this episode of Shri series, we'll talk about adding and subtracting complex algebraic fractions, right? Just like the previous sessions before, I had some questions and then we go through each of those questions, all right? Now, if you remember from the previous video, we talked about multiplying and dividing algebraic fractions, all right? So what we're doing today is we are adding and subtracting algebraic fractions. All right. I did make a comment in the previous video stating that when you want to add or subtract fractions or multiply and divide fractions, you follow the same basic numerical fraction. So what I thought I'd do is just to break down the details on how we add and subtract fractions before we go into these actual questions. So I've got a simple fraction here. Suppose we have 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3, a basic fraction. All right, 1 over 2 plus 1 over 3. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find the lowest common multiple. Now, in fraction terms, a lowest common multiple is the lowest number that could be divisible by 2 and 3 without leaving any remainder. All right, so if you look at 2 and 3, the number that comes in my mind is 6, because 6 can be divided by 2 and 6 can be divided by 3 without having to leave a remainder. All right, now different teachers have different methods or various methods to solve these questions. I like to use one trick, which is divide the denominator and multiply the numerator. As you know, the denominator is the number below and the numerator is the number above. So the first thing we need to do is, I like to use an arrow here and I like to say divide. So I put a division sign and I put a D here. All right, so what that means is you got 6 divided by 2 and the answer you get, you multiply. All right, so you put a times and n. So I like to explain this to students, particularly in year 7, who are learning basic fractions of addition and subtraction. So the first thing they do is divide the denominator. So DD, so that makes it easy to understand. Divide the denominator and the answer you get, you multiply the numerator. All right. So you're going to get 6 divided by 2, which is 3, and 3 times 1 is 3. And then you put a plus there. All right. 6 divided by 3, again, you like to put that divide and D, so divide the denominator. 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 2 times 1, so you put times the numerator. 2 times 1 is 2, so you go 3 plus 2, which is 5 over 6. All right, it's the same step that you follow when you've got subtraction here, when there's a minus. All right, I wanted to illustrate this example because this is exactly what we're going to be doing when we answer question 1 and question 2. So it's a bit of require prior learning before we answer this bit here. All right, find the lowest common multiple, divide the denominator, and the answer you get, you multiply, you times the numerator, and then you add. So in this question here, 5 over 6, as you know, whenever you get a fraction, you need to ask yourself, can I simplify it in its lowest term? If I can, please do so. If you can't, just leave it like that. All right, so let's look at question 1, and I'll read it out loud. X plus 3 over 2 plus x minus 2 over 5. All right, so just like this step here, what we need to do is we draw a simple line there, not the best straight line, but you guys understand. You need to find out the lowest common multiple between 2 and 5. So in other words, what number, the lowest number that could be easily divisible by 2 and 5 without having to leave a remainder. So what comes in my mind is 10, because 10 can be divisible by 2 and can also be divisible by 5. All right, so following this step here, what we need to do, we divide the denominator. So what's 10 divided by 2? That's going to be 5. All right, now I know we're all thinking, all right, what do we do in this situation where you've got an algebraic expression as a numerator? Unlike this question here where you had a simple number, All you needed to do is multiply it by the numerator. All right. We're doing the same thing in this question. The only difference is in place of a number, we have an algebraic expression, which is x plus 3. So what do? We got 10 divided by 2, which is what we've done. We've got 5. And then what we simply do is we open the bracket and we put x plus 3. Now, I want you to look at this very, very carefully. You've got 10 divided by 2, which is 5. And then what we need to do is we are multiplying the numerator as stated in this bit here. And that's exactly what we're doing, because we are going to be multiplying the numerator, which in this case is expansion. And we've talked about this in my previous video sessions on expanding algebraic fractions or expanding algebraic expressions. All right, so that's what we do. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then what we do is we literally put x plus 3, open and close the brackets. And next we put a plus there because you got a plus there. 10 divided by 5 becomes 2. So what do? I put the number 2 there, open my brackets, and then I put x minus 2, which is literally dividing the denominator and multiplying the numerator. Now, you've got 5x plus 3 plus 2x minus 2. What do we do in this situation? All right, we're now going to be expanding. Now, if you remember, what is expansion? Expansion is getting rid of the bracket. So what do? I'm using my arrows just to show you how I'm expanding. All right, so what do? We're multiplying 5 times x and 5 times 3. So 5 times x becomes 5x. And there's a plus there. And 5 times 3 is 15. Then I put another plus there. What's 2 times x? 2x. And what's 2 times negative 2? That's negative 4. Basic arithmetic integers. When you multiply a positive by a negative number, you will get a negative number. And then what do? I put 10 over 10. Now, do we stop here? No, we don't. We simplify further by grouping like and unlike terms. I've shown it in the previous video how to do it. This is exactly what we're doing. So what do we see here? I put a single tick to show 5x and 2x are like terms, and then I'm going to put 15 and negative 4 as the unlike terms, or should I say the like terms of numbers. The unlike terms with the letters. All right, so what do? We rearrange, which is a step that I taught you guys. So 5x plus 2x plus 15 minus 4 divided by 10. All right, so what I've done is I have rearranged this function to make sure that I've got the x's on one side, which is 5x and 2x, and I've got the numbers on the other side, which is 15 and negative 4. All right, so 5x plus 2x becomes 7x, and 15 minus 4 becomes positive 11, and then we will divide it by 10. All right, and like I said before, what is the first question we need to ask when we simplify? Can we further simplify it? If we can, please do so. If you can't, you leave the answer as it is. So looking at this question, 7x plus 11 divided by 10, I can't simplify it any further. I will leave the answer like that. All right, so will you notice, if you notice very carefully, from this step onwards, that is expansion. That is grouping like terms. This is rearranging like terms, and then you get your answer. So if you notice this, there is a similarity from the previous videos. I did a single video on expansion, there's a single video on simplifying it, and then further getting the right answer. All right, so that's how we go through this question. Let's look at question number 2. All right, we're now subtracting. In the first one we were adding. In second question, we are subtracting. But it's important to notice, if you look at the difference between question 1 and question 2, in addition to the fact that one is adding and the other one is subtracting, in the first question, the denominators are numbers and the numerators are algebraic expressions. If you look at the second question, it's the other way around. Your numerators are the numbers and your denominators are the algebraic expressions. However, you shouldn't be afraid to be answering or tackling these questions. It is exactly the same way we answer fractions here as well. All right, so I'm going to show you the first thing we're going to be doing here. Again, we need to find the lowest common multiple. Now, a lot of students get overwhelmed in a situation like this because now they don't know what number or expression, in this case, algebraic expression, can be easily divisible by x minus 6 and x plus 2. All right, because you've got numbers and letters, and I understand how students feel, but the simple trick is when you've got two expressions like that, all you got to do is combine them together like that. That becomes your lowest common multiple. You literally put x minus 6, open close brackets, and x plus 2, open and close brackets. That is exactly what you're doing. All right. The next thing is you divide this algebraic expression by that. All right. So in other words, x minus 6, x plus 2 divided by x minus 6. Now, what I'll do is I'll just put an asterisk sign here just to show you the full working out. So what am I doing here? I'm going x minus 6, x plus 2 divided by x minus 6. And you will see that cancels out. So x minus 6, x plus 2 divided by x minus 6 will give you x plus 2. So what do? You put x plus 2. And then you times your numerator. And that's when you just put the number 3 because you're literally timesing it. All right. You put the minus sign there because you got a minus sign there. And then what we do this bit here, x minus 6, x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. I'll show you this full working out here. So you go x minus 6, x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. That's literally what we're doing. And x plus 2 above and below cancel out. So we get x minus 6. So what do? We put x minus 6. So when you divide that by that, remember, divide the denominator and the answer you get, you times your numerator, and that's going to be a 2 there. That's exactly what we're doing. Now, can you see now there's something similar between this one and this one here? Because now what we need to do is expand the fraction, or in this case, expand the expression above in this fraction. So what I do, I'll draw my arrows just to show you what I'm doing here, just to show the complete working out. All right. So 3 times x becomes 3x. And I'll put a plus there. 3 times 2 becomes 6. And you put a minus. 2 times x is 2x. Now, please note, not sure if you can see this clearly, you got a negative and a negative number here. All right. So 2 negative numbers become positive. So negative 2 times negative 6 becomes positive 12. And then over x minus 6, x plus 2. All right. Do we end here? No, we don't. What we need to do is we need to group the like terms. So I can see there's a 3x and a negative 2x. They are like terms, and I've got 6 and 12 as my other like terms. So what do? I rearrange them. So I'm going to get 3x minus 2x plus 6 plus 12 divided by x minus 6 and x plus 2. So I'm now going to simplify. 3x minus 2x becomes x, or 1x. And 6 plus 12 becomes 18 over x minus 6 and x plus 2. And the question I'm going to ask myself here is, can I simplify this further? I don't think I can simplify, so that becomes your answer. Just to summarize the key points here, guys, when you're adding and subtracting fractions, it is exactly the same as adding numerical fractions. The only difference is we've got algebraic expressions in questions 1 and question 2. Giving you this example here, the first step, find the lowest common multiple, divide the denominator and multiply the numerator. All right, the same thing we're doing here. But it is very important to understand the basic processes of algebra and the topics required to answer this question. If I was to ask you what are the topics you need to do or to understand to answer question 1 and 2, obviously you need to understand basic fractions. If you don't understand basic fractions, both these two questions will be an absolute nightmare. You're not going to get the answers right. So you need to know your basic fractions. The second topic, as you can see, you need to know how to expand. If you don't know how to expand, this question will be hard for you. The next thing you need to know is to group like terms, like identifying the pairs, all right, and rearranging them, and finally simplifying them. So if you were to ask me, you need to know your fractions, you need to know your expansions, you need to know to simplify, and you need to know to group like terms and unlike terms. So for this question, you need to understand 4 subtopics to answer this question thoroughly. In the next couple of sessions, we will be doing more complex questions to help build on your confidence. Thanks guys for listening. Bye now.